Welcome to a special episode of AniBreak, the show where we normally break down the week's hottest topics in anime, manga, and video games. But since we did that during our normal show every Wednesday, and today is actually Thursday, I decided, you know what? We should have a Christmas episode before the holidays start. So you know what? I figured why not? You can guys get 2 doses of AniBreak in 1 week. I'm sure you guys wouldn't mind. But in order for it to be, a holiday-themed episode, I think I need to spruce up the place a little bit. Like, I don't know, I need to get a hat. And this hat is actually from, like, the 60s, and it still works. It still hasn't fallen apart. It's amazing. And it's a little more themed. I got some snow going on in the background, and I think you guys will enjoy that, so. So, this episode's all about Christmas in anime. But before we can start talking about that, we need to be able to talk about Christmas in Japan. Because it is not what you normally would think Christmas would be. The Western style of Christmas is definitely different. For one, Western Christmas definitely has to do with religion and Christianity and whatnot. Not for someone like me, like I'm an atheist, but I still enjoy Christmas and hanging out with family and passing out presents and whatnot. But for Japan, most people who live in Japan don't identify with a singular religion. In fact, most of them practice some sort of Shinto or Buddhism. Because of this, Christmas is celebrated as a secular holiday. It's not even recognized by the government. It's not an official day off. But more importantly, Christmas itself isn't really celebrated. It's more so Christmas Eve, because it's more considered to be a couple's holiday, where people will go out on dates to fancy restaurants and stay in nice hotels. And they always eat Christmas cake, which is essentially a sponge cake with either strawberries or holiday chocolates decorating it. There's a really bad joke that actually happened over in Japan. It has to do with these cakes. That they will compare Japanese women to Christmas cakes because, quote unquote, nobody wants Christmas cake after their 25th. Essentially, 25th of December, and the women after they turn 25. There's always these type of jokes that get really bad, especially during the holidays, but that's one of the big ones, especially around this time of year. One surprising thing, though, is actually how commercialized Christmas and Christmas Eve are in Japan. Mostly for the fact because you don't have the religious part or the religious aspect of it really celebrated. I mean, less than 1% of the Japanese population calls themselves Christian of some form, Christian or Catholic and whatnot. So it's not surprising that all these companies try to profit off of it. And I think one of the best examples of this is, let me ask you this. When you sit down for a Christmas dinner, I mean, what do you normally have? You would have, ham, you would have maybe turkey, but you already had that for Thanksgiving. There's different pieces of meat all over the place. In Japan, it's actually fried chicken, specifically KFC fried chicken. Back in the 70s, I think it was 1974 when they first released it. They started a very successful campaign called Kentucky for Christmas, or Kentucky in Christmas, I should say. And let me see if I can get this shot up here for you. And I'm going to play this in the background. This is their latest commercial for it. It has become such an integral part of the Christmas holiday over there that the people would actually reserve these boxes, they're holiday boxes, holiday buckets, if you want to call them, months in advance. But we're talking October. Now, normally when you think of KFC, you go out and okay, I'm going to go down to the local KFC and pick something up. No big deal. If you try to do that in Japan near Christmas Eve, the lines are going to be out the door and down the street. That is how popular KFC is during the holidays. It is kind of funny as hell. I cannot think of them as very fancy food, but apparently the marketing worked so well that, every year it's like that. And that's actually been tied into some anime. not any ones that we're going to talk about tonight. Tonight I came across, or I decided to put together a list of about 11 to 12 different anime that have some Christmas themes in it in one part or another, as well as 2 movies. It could be a hell of a lot longer. In doing research for this episode, I created a list that I think had about 95 to 96 different series or movies that had Christmas themes in them. And if we really decided to go through that, it would take a good 3 or 4 hours. And I don't think you want to hear me talk for that long. So why don't we just jump right into it. Let's start off with Cardcaptor Sakura. Old school anime, but a lot of people remember this fondly. We're going to talk about one from the first season. It was episode 35 called Sakura's Wonderful Christmas. This episode, and we have a big Christmas theme going on right now. Hope you guys enjoy it. Sakura is, what else does she do? Pining over Yukito, and thanks to some matchmaking by Kiro, she finds herself on a date with him. Nothing more romantic than going out into an amusement park with the person you care about, right? Well, it didn't go very smooth, in the sense that it wasn't just a normal day at the amusement park. No, there was a little event, like the amusement park caught fire, thanks to an elemental. Of course, she goes out and tries to defeat the elemental, realizes the first couple tries didn't actually work. So, in the end, she actually had teamwork and eventually saved Christmas using her cards and actually captured a new elemental. At the end of the episode, though, she actually was able to hand Yukito a present, which was essentially a doll of himself. Okay. I'm not sure what was planned for that, but yeah, okay. But people really enjoyed it, and this is one of the earliest memories I have of watching Christmas in an anime. Okay, this next one, it could be good or bad depending on how you look at it. This is the Love Hina Christmas Special. Do you guys remember this, called Silent Eve? It was part of a 2-pack after it came out on DVD. There was a spring special and a Christmas special. Love Hina was one of the first harem anime that I actually ever started watching back when I was young. Now, mind you, back at that time, I wasn't really watching this series for the relationship or for the dialogue, if you know what I mean. It was young, the internet was young, and I couldn't really find much of it online. But yeah, the Love Hina series, Ken Akamatsu put a lot of work into the manga, and of course as well with the anime series. And then when you started working on the OVAs, and then of course these specials, just continued on. What's funny is that this is a typical story you would find in any part of the series, yet they decided to add some length to it because 1, it was a Christmas special, and 2, it was the equivalent of 2 episodes long. So I'm sitting here watching it going, okay, Keitaro and Naru somehow managed to miss out on a romantic evening together because the rest of the gang is, they're always interfering. And they're all over the place. They're all over Tokyo trying to meet up with each other. And here's the thing, though, that always pissed me off about this special. This was supposed to take like 2002, 2003. They had cell phones. One simple call could have fixed this. Then again, we wouldn't have this, 60-minute episode of them going all over town. And of course, you also have all the characters which are misinformed. So one character wants to confess their love, and then another person wants to confess to the same person, and there's another one who wants to... Actually, let me phrase that. Who's completely oblivious to everything and starts screwing things up. But if you're a fan of the series, you're going to enjoy the specials. I think one of the bits about this special that actually caught me off guard was the inclusion of the creator Ken Akamatsu himself. He was in there, and And he had some of the characters actually showing some of his goods, some of his manga in the freaking anime. So I was like, okay, that was unique. I can definitely, yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to a very random series and a very random episode. Let's talk about Lucky Star. Lucky Star has a very special place in my heart just for the sole fact that it's just absolutely crazy. It was a ton of fun, and believe it or not, through all the chaos, they technically had a Christmas episode. And when I read the list, I was like, I don't remember that. And then I watched the episode earlier today and went, holy crap, yes, there actually was a Christmas episode. Completely not what you think, though. I mean, it starts off like any other episode, very basic stuff. The girls are in classroom, talking about the most random of things. This time around, they're talking about how they would get sleepy and fall asleep a few times on the bus, and how people would like lean on them, or how they would lean on others, and how would you handle that? And then it got on, for some reason, they went from that to who believes in Santa Claus and who doesn't. Normally, I would question the randomness, but then again, this is Lucky Star we're talking about, so I can't really use that. Let's see. Yeah, Konota and Miyuki, they actually stopped thinking about believing in Santa Claus a while back, so they always had a realistic look on the world, especially on Christmas. Then, of course, you have Konota. Yeah, we can leave Konota alone for a moment. One of the funniest parts about this episode that I came across was when Konota brings up the joke about the Christmas cake being related to or compared to Japanese women. At the same time they're talking about this and questioning the reasoning behind it, their teacher's walking by the hallway and gets all pissed off because, she's alone. So they have to finish up the episode by taking a round of finals. Though Konota doesn't fare as well as she wanted to, but she's not too worried. Let me rephrase this. She's not as worried about a bad grade in the class, more so to losing to Miyuki. Not because of her grades, but because of her bust size. It's a very classic scene that happens throughout the entire series. Of course, it wraps up with Konota and her dad actually meeting up and actually trading Christmas presents and whatnot. So it's fun. During the credits, the girls actually, of course, they go to a karaoke bar and start singing Christmas tunes, as they always do. Well, they go to a karaoke bar at the end of the episode, but Christmas tunes was special for this episode. All right. Why don't we talk about a series that, instead of having a single episode revolve around Christmas, let's just throw the whole series in there. I'm talking about Amigami SS. This is based on a very popular dating sim. Usually with the dating sims, you have your nondescript main male character that you play, and you have to go around and, throughout a storyline and choice or selections in terms of what you talk to the characters, you can either date one of the girls and, how far you want to go depends on how far the game will let you. But the game itself was popular enough to actually have a manga spin-off and therefore also an anime spin-off. One thing I liked about this adaptation was that instead of just focusing on either one girl, or as most these series actually do, you'll have a main male character who goes through a lot of adventures and chaos with several girls, but at the end of the series doesn't pick one, which is aggravating as hell to me. Just pick a bloody character and move on. But in this series, what they decided to do, you have the 6 main characters, 6 girls, and they split up the anime into 4 episode chunks. Each girl got their own story arc. And so you actually, if you watch the entire series, you went through the entire story process of Junichi talking to and having a relationship with each of these girls. And they always revolved around Christmas time. it starts off with, Junichi being heartbroken on Christmas Eve when a girl stood him up for a date. And ever since then, he's been wary of love and, Christmas itself. And going around with these girls, he actually starts learning to love and, of course, enjoying Christmas. This, I have to say, is one of my biggest guilty pleasures, I would say. Just for the sole fact that, one, like I said, I like the fact that you can actually see the storyline for each girl. Those of you who are confused by that, it's essentially after each 4-episode story arc, they revert back to the beginning, and then he goes off with another girl. So it's not like he's dating one girl, then go to the next girl, then go to the next girl. It's in one universe he's dating this girl, in one universe he's dating this girl, one universe he's dating this other girl. Stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it for that. This was a massive guilty pleasure for me. It was very well written. I really enjoyed it. Give an example of how popular. I'll give you a shot while I'm talking about it. Of all the girls in Christmas outfits, because they got pretty crazy at times. One of the things that I actually picked up when I was in Japan was a ton of Amagami SS stuff. I picked up a bunch of the manga, some of the art books. I spent like $150 just on Amagami SS stuff. The only other thing that I bought in that excess when I was in Japan earlier this year, that was K-On! And we talked about that, I think, a couple weeks ago. So if you guys haven't checked it out, it is available on Crunchyroll. Sentai Filmworks actually licensed it for physical distribution in the States. They've already announced there's going to be at least a DVD release. I'm hoping for a Blu-ray release. And if you guys really enjoy this, there is a second season, Amigami SS Plus. And you guys can check that out and let me know what you think about it. Okay. Let's go a little out of order. I want to talk about a series, Read or Die TV. I was a huge fan of both the OVA and the TV series. And there was a kind of a Christmas episode during the TV series itself. It wasn't really focused so much on Christmas itself, but the meanings behind it were there. It was from episode 10, about halfway through the series. The girls are with... they're protecting this author, Nene. And she's at an awkward company Christmas party, and of course, former coworkers there start saying bad stuff to her, and she gets all pissed off, so she storms off. The girls catch up to her, and then they all walk back up to their apartment, which they're sharing. And they start to... when Nene walks in, the rest of the girls are sitting at a table, and there's a little birthday cake with a candle there. And she's wondering what's going on. Well, the sisters are recounting that 2 or 3 years ago, the three of them met up for the first time. Either homeless or had problems with work and they got thrown out. All this jazz. Essentially, they were all down on their luck, and they all met up in this one little church. And at that point, they were like, okay, let's team up, let's become sisters. And they celebrate that every single Christmas. It was a nice touch. It was very nuanced. It wasn't really thrown in your face, oh my god, this is Christmas. Although, the fact that they talked about, family and how this, how they all became sisters in this one night, and how special it was to them. I'll admit, I had to pause for a moment. I'm like, okay, that's kind of, yeah, that's nice. So, but getting to the crazy stuff, do you guys remember a series that had the first episode and had this scene with the boy going, Mr. Santa Claus, why do you never bring presents to me? That's because your family is poor, also known as Santa is a dick. This is the first episode of Hayate the Combat Butler. This is a very long-running series that's still going on to this day. Season 3 just started in October of this year. Seasons 1 and 2, season 1 and 2 combined, thankfully, had 77 episodes. So, season 3, like I said, just started in October. Now, all 3 seasons are available on Crunchyroll right now. And it's a totally different story from seasons 1 and 2. It's not a continuation, but it's the same character, same universe, just different story arc. So to continue on with what happened with episode 1, this is like the very beginning where Santa basically says your family is poor, and the little kid is actually Hayate. Later on, after the opening credits, you get to see Hayate as a 16-year-old boy. He's working at, I forget where, like a grocery store and whatnot. And his boss finding out that he's still in high school, so he kicks him out, fires him, and then gives his salary to his parents, who are good-for-nothings, who spend all of his money on booze and gambling and whatnot. And of course, they got into debt with the Yakuza. For his 16th Christmas present, his parents handed him a monumentally large debt. Getting freaked out and getting pretty desperate, Hayate thinks, you know what? The best thing for me to do right now is to kidnap a little girl and hold her for ransom. Well, as he's trying to find this little girl, she mishears him, and what he basically meant, you're coming with me, as like, I'm kidnapping you, she thought was a confession of love. So while they're trying to figure that out, these other criminals come in and actually kidnap the same girl. Hayate saves her, and because of saving her, she says she will grant him one wish. And all he basically wanted at the time was to find a job, a brand new job. What he didn't know is this girl was actually the daughter of a very, very rich family. And right at that moment, she says, okay, I can grant you your wish. You are going to be my butler. That is episode 1 in a nutshell of Hayate the Combat Butler. It is an incredibly funny series. It's off-kilter at times, but I think you guys would truly enjoy it. And like I said, it's long-running. It's something that you really don't get nowadays, in sense of most series last 10 to 12 episodes, if that. No longer the days of, oh, season 1 lasted 26 episodes or 52 episodes. Then again, you gotta deal with the times and economy and all that jazz. Okay. Sir, let's talk about something that I was discussing with Nightstar in the chat during pre-show. There's a very famous Christmas episode way back in the day in Super Dimension Fortress Macross. Way back in the day. Starting this girl, Lin Minmay. This girl just became so annoying at so many times throughout this series. I mean, of course, she was iconic for singing in her voice, and it was very a big part of why this series was so popular. But for me, she became so goddamn annoying. And the episode we're going to talk about is, I think it's episode 35, I want to say. This is it's called Romanesque. Essentially, she's out in the city walking about. She passes 3 Zentradi former spies who are now hawking toys, because they have nothing else they can better do right now. And the problem is they're all kind of pissed at Minmay because they were all listening to him or to her. And that's all I can say about that, because the backstory gets way too convoluted in there. But she's depressed as all hell in this episode. And when I saw her like walking around sad girl in snow, I was like, damn right, you need to stay sad. She basically finds her way going over to, who was it? Was it Hikaru? Yeah, it was Hikaru's doorstep, and basically throws herself at him. Completely depressed, how she's lost herself. She doesn't want to sing anymore. Like, I won't sing again. And I'm like, good. But, yeah. And to some people who were actually really enjoying the series at the time, they were like, no, you must sing, Minmay. You have a great voice, and you're the leader of, of all these people. I'm like, nope. She's already caused too many problems. Even without her singing, she's already caused a massive problem. She should just quit and move away. At the same time, the city that they're in gets attacked, and a lot of people are getting freaked out for the sole fact that whoever's attacking the city has planted bombs in Santa Claus displays. So it's kind of messed up. But, to as the phrase goes, keep calm and carry on. The people in the city decide to go into a Catholic church and start singing, of all freaking things, Silent Night, Holy. You start singing Silent Night while the city is getting blown up. I mean, yes, okay, you have Christmas lights all over the place. Okay, fine. there's a lot more things, more important things to deal with if your city is being attacked. Yeah. This one was just... And of course, this makes things, all much better, and they beat the attackers, and everything is fine. Until at the very end, where Minmay made Hikaru a great dinner, complete with a Christmas cake. Isn't it, for side note, how old is Minmay in the series at this time? Because I think she was getting close to that 25 mark. And in doing all this, you think, okay, it's a very nice ending, quiet night. She decides to sit down and say, you know what? I'm going to ask you to quit the army. And finally, after 35 goddamn episodes, they finally kiss. And it was one of those scenes where I'm like, okay, fine. Please let this, move on from this. D-Max in the chat, no, let's sing instead. Yeah, needless to say, this was an episode, I would say we just live in infamy, just for the sole fact of the pure annoyance with Minmay. And the chaos that is, city is being attacked. Let's go sing Christmas carols. I'm sure they will be perfectly happy with that and stop fighting us. Yeah. So, I had to rant about it. I mean, it's a classic episode. I had to include it, but my God, really? All right, I'm going to probably go through a few of these others real quick. These are just quick mentions. Let's talk about Popotan. This series, if they weren't time traveling all over the damn place, the main characters were running for whatever reason, a Christmas theme store in a mansion. Yeah. And Christmas was always strewn about the entire series. Whether it be the Christmas hats, jingle bells playing in the background, snow. I mean, it was always something there in the background. Although I should say this just for the sake of it. Yes, there's a lot of Christmas stuff, but not during the majority of their time when they were in the hot tub, which is, I would say, consists of at least a good third of every single episode. But it's fun. You guys can definitely check that out. One thing that Popotan has actually been infamous for, was in the opening, there was a scene of a couple of the characters dancing, which was cut out, looped, and put to, yeah, I mean, you guys know what this is. Yeah, caramel dancing. This is where it started. But, yeah. People start wondering, oh, it's caramel dancing. No, it's Popotan. Then they used I think it was a Swedish song, caramel dancing, in part of it. So, yeah, that's enough of it. Let's move on. So, all right. What else should we talk about? Kimi no Toroke. Later on in the series, about episode 21-22, Sawako was very ecstatic about being invited to her first Christmas party. And, of course, the parents were, no, we're very excited for you to spend the holiday with us. So it becomes the classic teenage dilemma. Do I go out and hang out with friends for Christmas, or do I stay home with the family? It gets kind of sad at certain points, and she gets very dramatic, as most teenagers will, which means cry, cry, cry. But at the end was very, very sweet. It ends happily. Even though she initially made a choice that left her in tears, it all ended well. Because, I mean, it's a Christmas episode, and that's how things end, damn it. If it's a Christmas episode, things end on a happy note. What else is there? Oh, yes. Toradora. You guys remember this? I like this picture. This is actually one of the official images, if I should say. It's actually, you can find it in a new type back in the day. This was kind of a turning point in the series. It was near closer to the end, but still very critical in terms of the storyline, where Taiga was setting up Ryuji to actually tell Minori how he feels with ignoring her own feelings, which we all know and is apparent as freaking day. That's the problem I have with rom-coms or romantic comedies, that there's just some times where the characters' feelings are so goddamn out there in the open, and yet people are oblivious to it. It's like, Rrr! So, this was a very bittersweet episode, because at the end, There's again more misinformation and romantic comedy with high schoolers. Not surprising whatsoever. Essentially, where Ryuji talks to Taiga, and Taiga for some reason says, "Oh, I don't want to have a boyfriend right now," and he's just heartbroken. And so, I think that was one of the reasons why I really enjoyed this episode, for the sole fact that it was a Christmas-themed episode that didn't end on a good note. I was like, yes! Finally! This is the Empire Strikes Back version of Christmas in anime. What is it? Is that all I have here? Yes. Okay. So those are just a taste of what you guys can find all over, the different animes that you can find online on Crunchyroll and Anime Network, and you can buy them on Blu-ray and DVD. Like I said, they're in my list to prep for this episode. There's over 95 different instances of Christmas in anime. So if you guys really want to spend some time throughout the next year for 2013 to prep for a Christmas anime marathon for 2014, be my guest. I'll probably be doing the same thing. Maybe I'll host one online. We'll see. But Christmas in anime was not limited to just TV. There was also movies, and especially two. Let's talk about the first one. First one was called Tokyo Godfathers. This was an epic work by the late Satoshi Kon. I guess you could almost call this movie as a movie about miracles. It definitely talks about some of the aspects of the Japanese version of Christmas, gift giving, dating, the parties, and whatnot. Essentially, you have these three main characters, and they actually find and rescue an abandoned baby. And of course, there's a very happy reunion at the end of it all. But throughout the midsection of the movie, these characters actually have to go through a lot of stuff and look inside and battle some of their own demons, and it's really good. I mean, just the dialogue alone, this would be a great radio drama, to be honest. If you guys haven't seen this yet, this is a fantastic movie. I highly recommend it. This is actually part of my annual Christmas watch list. If you guys have not checked it out, still, even if you're a fan of Satoshi Kon, this is not what you normally expect from his work. He's always very dark and psychotic and messed up as all hell. This one, not so much. I mean, it has its own internal strife here and there, but it's a very, very good and very moving movie. I highly recommend it. I even put up there with It's a Wonderful Life or Christmas Story. Or actually, you know what? I would put this on the same list as Die Hard, as quintessential Christmas watching for the list. That's how much I enjoy it. Okay. The last movie I want to talk about is actually a Tenchi movie. Specifically, Tenchi Muyo 2, Daughter of Darkness. Of course, you have Tenchi Muyo. You can see him right down at the bottom. But you might not recognize the other two right here. And let me just go full screen on it so you can take a little look. I'm going to play a clip real quick. Where is it at? From... I guess I don't have it lined up. Oh, well. There is a scene early on in the series, or the movie, I should say. The person on the upper right-hand side is Yuzuha. And years ago, she actually met Prince Yosho during an annual Startica celebration, which is kind of like Christmas in a totally different world. Several hundred years later, she finds that Yosho was alive and on Earth celebrating Christmas with the family. She's watching Tenchi surrounded by all these beautiful women and thinks that, you must be Prince Charming. Therefore, I'm going to give you a present. So she plucks a hair from him and decides to make a daughter. And it was one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie right there. I'm actually going to pull it up real quick. This is actually a scene from movie 2. This is actually part of the movie collection that's now available on Blu-ray. So you guys can check this out. It is a fantastic and just a very fun movie. And that scene does not really scream Christmas, but later on in the movie, where Mayuka, the character in the blue hair, her memories get wiped and get pulled to another universe, I guess you can call. Without trying to give too much, that other world is very Christmas psychotic themed. It's fun, but there's definitely a lot of Christmas in that section. You guys would really enjoy it, and I have to give massive props to Funimation, because after all this time, they're finally releasing these movies and the OVAs on Blu-ray in 1080p. As soon as I get some money after Christmas, I know I'm going to be buying these in a heartbeat. They're only like $40, so if you guys are fans of Tenchi or Christmas movies for that matter, you're going to enjoy this. Before we wrap up this special episode, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this this Thursday, I should say, because this is not my usual day. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys didn't like it, I apologize. But our usual deal is AniBreak is on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We usually break down topics in anime, manga, video games. I go on rants about who knows what. It's entertaining. The people in the chat get involved with it. It's a lot of fun. And then if you're looking for something more than just anime news, you guys want to check out on Sundays at 5 o'clock on this exact same link you can use. It's From My Mother's Basement. This is the show all about celebrating being a geek. We talk about board games, we talk about sci-fi, the latest movies, comics, and we talk about some anime and video games as well. You guys will truly enjoy that. Now, both of these shows actually have their own website, just their name.com. So AniBreak.com and FromMyMothersBasement.com. I also have a blog you guys can check out, which is OtakuLife.net, where I put down musings of things I find interesting, whether it be stuff about computers or anime or movies or whatnot. The latest article I posted up right now is actually a twofer, talking about the world of ARGs, or alternate reality games, and how this ties into the latest trailer for Star Trek Into Darkness. And they have a really cool link into that I actually posted. So if you guys want to check that out, that's OtakuLife.net. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode. I really appreciate you guys joining me. Stay tuned for a short post show. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hang around. The chat is always open 24/7, 365. So that's going to be about it for me. So for AniBreak, I'm Jason. Thank you very much, and have a happy holidays.